What's up, sports fans? This is the Lucas Ross Sports Channel. We continue here with our 2023 college football predictions for the 2023 college football season. And we also finish out our 2023 predictions with the Stanford Cardinals, a team coming off a 3-9 season in 2022, coming off a very disappointing season last year in the 2022 season. And this is a team that I predicted last year that would probably make it to the Pac-12 championship because they had all that production coming back this year, and I was really high on this team last year. But I do kind of regret my pick now heading into, from last year's season. This year, this Stanford team, I'm not really high on them for 2023. You look at the roster, they lost a lot of production from last year's team, and I just think this is going to be a really big step back for this Stanford team. And this also could be one of the worst teams in the Power 5 schools. Like, it could be one of the worst teams as well in the Pac-12. You look at the schedule this year for this Stanford team, they'll play Hawaii on the road, Sacramento State and Notre Dame in the non-conference. They play Hawaii on the road, which is pretty interesting there on September the 2nd. But you got Notre Dame and Sacramento State both at least at home. But that's a pretty tough non-conference schedule when you got Notre Dame there at home on November 25th. Then you look at the Pac-12 schedule, they'll play Oregon on the schedule. They'll play Washington, UCLA, Washington State on the road, Oregon State on the road. So you got Washington and Oregon at home. They do avoid Utah here, and they also play USC on the road. So that's a tough place to play there. You do avoid Utah on the schedule, but still, overall, a really tough schedule for a Stanford team that's heading into a new rebuild and a new era. They're going to have a new head coach this year. And before I start the prediction, this is our last team here before we head into those prediction standings for next week, where we'll give you the conference champion prediction and also give you the standings based off of the predictions as well. But let's get started here with Stanford's prediction. Let's go game by game now and give an official prediction for this Stanford team. So they start things off here with Hawaii on September the 2nd. I really don't expect this one to be an easy win here for Stanford. I think with all the talent that they have coming in this year, it's going to be really a lot of question marks in this game. I think the game is going to be a low, short-scoring type ball game here, but I think Stanford, I can't really predict against them here in this game against Hawaii on the road, especially against a non-conference team. So I think Stanford will get a win here against Hawaii. Like I said, it won't be an easy win, but I think Stanford will start out 2023 with a record of 1-0. Then they'll play USC on the road here on September 9th. I know Stanford's given USC some problems in the past, but I just don't really see that happening this year. I think USC, way too talented on the offensive side of the football. Defensively, they're going to have quite a lot of question marks, but I just don't think this Stanford team has what it takes to go on the road and defeat USC. It's not even close. I think Stanford will lose that one pretty easily. And I think that's the first game where they get blown out in. I think that's the first game where they get blown out. Plus, it's early in September. I think USC is the better team here, and I got Stanford now at 1-1. Then they'll take care of business against Sacramento State. That's a game they could probably win by a blowout, so I think Stanford will improve to 2-1. Then they play Arizona here at home on September 23rd. An Arizona team that's going to be pretty good this year. I think they're almost there to being a bowl team this year. I predicted this team to go 5-7 in my prediction, so I think Arizona will be a competitive team this year. But home game here for Stanford, it's a very winnable game. But if you look at my Arizona prediction back then, I did predict the Wildcats to win because I think Arizona has the more experience of a roster. Stanford's got a new era. They're going to have a new rebuild, so it's hard to tell how good this team is going to be and how competitive they're going to be as well. I think the game's close in the first half. I think second half, though, the Wildcats will pull away. And I think Arizona gives Stanford their second loss of the season here. So I got Stanford now falling to 2-2. Then they play Oregon at home here on September 30th. This is a game I don't expect to be all that close. I think Oregon's just got way too much talent on their roster. They're kind of similar to USC, not really, talented on the offensive side of the football, but you got Bo Nix coming back at quarterback. It's going to be huge for them. And defensively, I think Oregon's defense is going to hold Stanford to maybe no points or maybe 7 points in this game. I think the Ducks win here. I don't think it's a blowout. I think Oregon will win it here. But Stanford has this game at home, so I don't think it will be a blowout, but I think Oregon will win it pretty easily. And I got Stanford now falling to 2-3. They get to the month of October now. They'll get a bye week before playing Colorado on the road here on October 13th. The Colorado team kind of similar to Stanford, but Colorado brought a ton of guys in the transfer portal. I kind of expect this team to be a little bit more competitive than Stanford is in 2023. This game, I think, can go back and forth. I think it will be a back and forth game, but, I think all 4 quarters here. I think Colorado is the better team here, the more athletic team here as well against this Stanford team. Plus, this game is on a Friday here, and I think Colorado gives Stanford their 4th loss of the season. So I got Stanford losing 3 in a row here to Colorado, Oregon, and Arizona. That puts their record at 2-4. UCLA at home here on October 21st. So UCLA, I don't expect to be the same team from last year, but they're still going to have some talent. They're going to have some talent on both sides of the football. UCLA, I think, is way too much of a talented team here. And I think Stanford will lose this one. It's not really a competitive game, I don't think. So I think UCLA will go on the road and defeat Stanford at their home turf here. And I think Stanford falls to 2-5 after that loss to UCLA. Then it's Washington at home here on October 28th. Kind of similar to the Oregon game. It won't be a blowout, but I think Washington just way too much talent on both sides of the football. Definitely a lot more production coming back this year for them as well. And I think Washington wins this one pretty easily and gives Stanford their 6th loss of the season. So I got Stanford now falling to 2-6. They get to the month of November. They'll play Washington State on the road here on November 4th. Tough place to play here against Washington State. And like I've been mentioning with Washington State throughout my Pac-12 predictions, I've been predicting them to be the dark horse contender in the Pac-12, be right there in that mid-tier pack, right behind, those top 6 teams from last year. Washington State, too tough of a place to play here. This game, I don't really expect it to be all that close. I think the Cougars have way too much talent on their roster, and I think Washington State will win this one pretty easily. So I got Stanford now falling to 2-7. Then they'll play Oregon State on the road here on November 11th. Another tough place to play here. Plus, you play back-to-back road games here with Washington State and Oregon State. Oregon State's got some transfers coming in to help them out. Defensively, they look to be really good on that side of the football. This game is kind of similar to the Washington State game. It's going to be really talent-wise. Edge goes to Oregon State. And I think the Beavers do get the win here, and it gives Stanford their 8th loss of the season. So I got Stanford now falling to 2-8. Then they'll play Cal here on November 18th. And this is a very winnable game here for Stanford. I think Cal's got a lot of question marks, but they brought in some transfers to help them out. They're kind of similar, to all these other teams in the Pac-12 where they've had some transfers come in. They're kind of similar to Colorado. Let's say that they're similar to Colorado. This game goes back and forth like it did in the Colorado game. It goes into the 4th quarter, but I think Cal overall has the more experience of a roster. And I think even playing at home, I think Cal gets the win. So I think Stanford will lose at home here to Cal on November 18th. So I think Stanford will fall to 2-9. On the season here in 2023. Then they'll end things out here with Notre Dame at home on November 25th. This is a rival game. You never know what can happen between these two teams, but really, I just don't see Stanford competing in this game against Notre Dame's offense. Offensively, you look at Notre Dame, they're going to be pretty good on that side of the football. I think defensively, that's going to be their strength. I think the defense is going to what's going to win the game here for Notre Dame. I know it's a rival game; it can go either way, but I think Stanford just overall has a long way to go before they compete once again with these top teams in the Pac-12, and then of course Notre Dame out of the Independent Conference. So I got Stanford finishing 2-10 in 2023. I think a lot of people are picking Stanford to go 2-10 and go winless in the Pac-12. I think that's going to happen this year. If I was going to say if they win like one game in the Pac-12, I think they can probably win that game on the road at Colorado. That's a tough place to play, but I think they also can beat Cal at home. So it's very possible this team can go 4-8, but I just don't think Stanford is going to win a Pac-12 game this year. This team lost a lot of production from last year, and I think that's the reason why they can go 2-10 in 2023. But that's my prediction for Stanford for 2023 is 2-10. Give me your thoughts down in the comments below about this Stanford team. What do you think their record is in 2023? And also, that concludes my predictions for the 2023 college football season. Next week, starting Monday, we'll do our conference standings based off of the predictions that we've done throughout since May. We'll start with the SEC next Monday, then the Big Ten on Tuesday, Wednesday, Big 12, then Thursday, we'll do the Pac-12. We'll do the ACC actually on Tuesday. Big Ten on Wednesday. Thursday we'll do the Big 12, and then we'll do the Pac-12 on next Friday. So stay tuned for those videos next week, and stay tuned here for more sports content videos on my Lucas Ross Sports Channel.